Hello, I'm Leslie Howard, President of the Westford Historical Society and Museum, and I'm thrilled to be able to bring you this virtual tour of our museum. I'd like to give a special thanks to the Mass Humanities Organization and their Digital Capacity Grant for funding this video, and also to Westford CAT and of course our Westford Academy Museum Club members for giving you this tour. I hope that this video inspires you to come visit us in person soon.
Hi guys, my name is Olivia Dunn. I'm a senior at Westford Academy and I'm part of the Westford Museum Club, and today I'm going to talk to you about granite. Now you might be wondering, why are we talking about granite? It's actually a huge part of Westford's history and it's how we made a lot of money. So there are three different types of rocks, right? There's igneous, metamorphic, and sedimentary. So granite is an igneous rock, which means it comes from volcanoes. So we know that lava is the hot stuff that comes out of volcanoes, but before it comes out, it's actually called magma. And when that cools down, it forms rocks. And so when you look at these samples over here, you can see some of them have little sparkles in them. And that's because it's the cooling magma. And when it's at different temperatures and different altitudes, it cools a different way. So there's a lot of different types of granite. Now, where do you see granite in Westford? It's everywhere. So when you're driving down the street, if you see a little curb on the side of the road, that is most likely Westford granite. Right down the street from me is the town center. And if you look at the benches that we have there, those are also made of granite. If you look even in your house, the mailbox posts, some of those are made of granite. And some people have granite countertops for their kitchen tables. So it is everywhere. And in fact, it's even in Boston. Westford granite is in Boston. So they made canals from Westford to Boston. They actually lined the bottoms and the sides of them with granite so that the water wouldn't just turn to mud with the dirt. And then they actually used ships full of granite to transport the granite to Boston. And so if you go to Faneuil Hall and you see what's called cobblestone, it's like a bunch of little rocks that make up a road. That is made of Westford granite, which is pretty cool. So one of the main quarries that we have had here in Westford was the Fletcher Quarry. And I know that sounds really familiar because of the Fletcher Library down the road from me. So the Fletchers made a lot of their money from quarrying granite, and that's how they were able to fund the library for the town. Now, if you look over here, these are a bunch of the employees of the H.E. Fletcher Granite Co. And as you can see, they don't look that happy. It was not one of the greatest jobs to have. It was really dangerous. You can see that there's a bunch of like cliff-like things of just granite, and if you were to fall, it'd be pretty catastrophic. And also, there's this thing called granite dust, like rock dust. So when you cut wood, you get sawdust, right? So when you cut granite, there's these little particles that come out, and if you were to get those in your eye or you were to breathe them in, they're really bad for your health. So now that we know how they worked, we can figure out how they cut the granite. So as you can see, there's this little rock down here. And these little shims and wedges. And basically they would line them up on a rock, and then they would use a hammer to knock them in. And if you want to see a bigger version, this is what it looks like. So these are the shims, and they would stick these into the granite, and then they would use this and a really big hammer and push it down. And if you guys were here right now, I would have you try, because it's impossible to keep these things together with your hand. You think it looks kind of easy, but it's actually super heavy, and that's how they cut the granite. So another fun thing is where they are in Westford. So this is Graniteville, obviously named after granite. And if you look up in the hill right here, there's all these little circles. And that's actually where they would quarry the granite. So there's these like spots in the hill, like little holes of where granite used to be that we took out to use for other things. And this is always a fun word that I like to point out. So this is called an obelisk. So you've probably seen the Washington Memorial in Washington, D.C., right? And so they would have to cut this out of one giant piece of granite. And if they messed up, the whole obelisk would be ruined and they wouldn't be able to use it. So they had to be very, very careful while cutting it. So then if you look over here, there's a lot of different types of granite. I showed you one piece earlier, And one specific piece you might be a little confused of is it's called Chelmsford granite, but it's from Westford MA. And the reason that is because Westford and Chelmsford used to be the same place. Chelmsford was one really big town. And when it got too long for people to go to church on Sunday, they had to create another town, and they called it West Chelmsford. So then they built another church, and that was another town, and then West Chelmsford got shortened to Westford, and that's why we have Westford today. So as you can see in these formations, there's just a bunch of different colors, and there's little sparkles in some of them, and that's, like I said before, because they're igneous rocks, and they're formed by magma in their crust. This one's really sparkly. But that's why there's so many different types. All right, thank you all so much for actively listening to my exhibit on quarries. Again, my name is Olivia Dunn. I'm a senior at Westford Academy. And remember, when you come to Westford Academy, to join the Westford Museum Club.
Hi, I'm Linda Green. I'm the director of the Westford Museum. I hope you enjoyed our virtual tour of the museum today. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our tour guides, seniors of Westford Academy, and members of the Westford Academy Museum Club, Jeremy, Olivia, Angie, and Yasmin. The Westford Museum is open on Sundays from 2 to 4, and we look forward to seeing you then.